It's no secret that the AI space is absolutely booming right now and everybody's trying to get a slice of the pie. But one of the hardest things is how do you actually find clients to do work for? And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So in this video, I'm going to give you absolutely everything that you're going to need to start out in the AI space and to start winning work on a platform called Upwork, and how to scale all the way from $0 to over $100,000 earned. I did this exact podcast on Liam Motley's channel and that went viral, but what I'm going to do in this video is take you through it in more detail to give you extra information on exactly how to do this. If you're not familiar with who I am, my name's Adam. I started as a freelancer on Upwork in 2021, and since then I'm in their expert vetted top 1% program. I've done over 60 projects and I've made over $100,000 as a freelancer on this platform alone. And these skills that I learned doing all of this in the AI space allowed me to go ahead and create 3 separate other channels of business. I built a YouTube channel, I built an agency that is focused around building custom AI-powered internal tools to businesses, and I built a community helping people to learn AI skills and also how to sell them. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is talk you through the entire process, but I'm going to pay specific attention to that first $500 to $1,000 earned. And the reason for that is because there's a massive mental barrier or abyss between most people that never find a way to make money online and the gap, which is honestly just $500, which actually validates that this is possible, and it proves to people that you can actually do this if you put the work in. And that is the hardest part of this entire journey. So I'm going to pay extra attention to that and give you tried and tested methods to break through that barrier so that you can earn your first bit of money online, prove to yourself it's possible, and then just scale and get better from there. All right, so breaking this down, before I jump into it, I want to quickly talk on the types of people that are typically drawn to this kind of way of work and lifestyle. And typically they have one or all 3 of these qualities. So they're unsatisfied with the current working arrangement, whether that's because of pay, whether that's because of hours, whether that's because of the people that they're working with. They have a curiosity or a passion to work on something outside of work hours and typically unpaid. And they've got the ability and the mindset to be able to persevere through setbacks and keep working on something even if they've been rejected and failed multiple times. Honestly, for the first $500 to $1,000, it's literally that last point there where that's the hardest part, and you really need to just keep working on it and not giving up. And that's pretty much the secret sauce to making it through something like this. But how do we actually do it? So I've got these 2 bubbles here. We've got create freelancing profiles and learn AI. Now, the reason that I have create freelancing profiles in front of learn AI is because a lot of people get stuck in this learn AI phase. So they spend all this time watching YouTube videos, joining communities, making practice projects, but they never feel ready to actually jump in and start doing it for clients. And what I'm going to tell you now is this is a general philosophy around everything, but you're never going to feel 100% ready. And what you're doing by creating the freelancing profiles before learning AI is you're taking a look at what kind of job posts are out there in the market, you're opening yourself up to opportunities, and you're keeping your eye on what jobs are being posted. So when one does pop up that you think, oh, there's a chance that I could be able to solve that problem or do something with it, you're ready to go and you've taken some proactive steps into winning your first job. Which freelancing profile should you choose? Well, there's many options out there. I personally recommend Upwork. I think there's heaps of work on there, especially if you're getting into the AI space. But to be honest, all of them probably work. I would recommend picking one and narrowing down on that though, because then you're going to build up your social proof, build up your reviews, and build up a solid profile. And you can do that in one space rather than having to build it over 4 separate tools, which is going to take you longer. Now, I'm going to give you the 3 steps on how to build a winning profile, but I quickly just want to talk on the learn AI skills and then narrow in on that. So with learning AI, it's a massive space and it's also an industry that's really in a premature stage right now. So you've got all these other typical digital industries like social media, advertising, people that are doing design work, all these different jobs that have been around for a while. AI is very much a new technology and the market is still figuring out how to use it properly. So there's all these stats coming out, and as someone that's implementing AI for businesses every single day, I can tell you that the vast majority of AI use cases and jobs being completed in the market right now are actually not achieving much ROI at all and are really underwhelming in comparison to what the headlines are telling us that AI can do. And the reason for that is because the implementation is honestly lagging behind the technological advancement. So there's a lot of things that are technically possible with AI, but the actual method or the actual process of implementing those into businesses takes months of technical development and understanding and scoping, and that is lagging behind significantly. So we are very much very early on the AI wave. It is by no means too late. So how can you learn this? Well, there is 1 million opportunities. I started learning this stuff pre-AI. And so I can tell you right now that just the fact that AI exists means that you have access to knowledge that the people before you would have taken weeks. You'd have to go search through blogs on the internet, take all these extra steps to learn the knowledge. There has never been more knowledge available to you. There has never been more knowledge available to you to learn than there is today. So there's all sorts of spots you can go to. Some of my favorites are YouTube. So much good quality tutorial content on YouTube. There's all these communities around. There is blogs and forums. There's AI, huge resource. There's literally everything. There's courses. And you can just jump in and start building your own personal projects and learn through action. But when do you stop? When is enough learning for you to jump out in there and start trying to catch some fish? And I would say it's long before you feel like you're ready. You need enough knowledge to talk about AI and be able to answer some of the typical questions and know the buzzwords. You do not need to be a master by any means. So jump in, 1 or 2 possible personal projects, learn some of the basics, get familiar. That might take 2 to 3 weeks maximum. Then jump in and start applying for work, because you're going to learn a hell of a lot quicker when you throw yourself in the deep end and start actually doing work for clients. In terms of niches that you can pick, 2 of the really low-hanging fruit options that I recommend, start with AI coding in a basic sense. Tools like Lovable and V0, you can get started without needing to know how to code. And it's a really good entry point to start to get familiar with how tech works. And you can learn some of the nuances of how those tools work when you jump in and actually start using them. N8N, Make.com, and Zapier are also a really good spot to work in automation if you're interested in that space. 2 really, they're massive industries. There's so much opportunity in both of those. They honestly connect with each other really, really well. So if you want to learn both of those, I would highly recommend it. But there's a million opportunities just in those 2 areas alone. Now, with the freelancing profile. So once you've got the absolute basics of these 2 set up, I'd say you can do this in a week, honestly. Create your freelancing profile, start learning some basic AI skills. You want to jump into trying to win work as soon as possible. I cannot stress enough how much you cannot get stuck here, because this is what most people do. They get stuck here and then they send 1 or 2 proposals out a day, or they kind of get lazy with this and they never get any projects because they didn't put enough effort into actually going out there and trying to win work. And what a lot of people are scared of is they're like, well, I don't know how to do this. And if I win a project for a client, I'm not going to know how to do it. So they start freaking out about that. What I'm going to talk to you about in here is an easy way that you can pitch to clients to avoid that harsh reality. Honestly, it's a lot more of a fear. It's actually, I don't think it's ever happened over the 60 projects that I've done on Upwork and over the 250 that I've done in total. There's usually always a way to make something work, even if it's an edge case. But I'll teach you exactly how you can word your proposals and how you can set this up so that doesn't happen to you. At the start, you're going to be in what I call the crawl phase. So this will teach you how to crawl, walk, and then run. The crawl phase is very much about learning rather than money. So what I see a lot of people do, especially people that are coming from existing careers where they're already getting paid, somewhat significant, substantial amounts of money, they come to something like freelancing and they're not willing to drop their rate because it's a bit of a hit on their ego. They're like, well, I'm already earning $40 or $50 an hour here, or whatever the case is. I'm not going to go and then work for $10 an hour on Upwork. And I think that's a real barrier, because at the start, unless you're already an AI pro in your existing work, there's a lot of learning that you're going to need to do. You're going to need to learn all of the technical skills, which is what you're going to be learning in this crawl phase. You'll be learning all the technical skills. You'll be learning so many valuable soft skills, client management, how to work on Upwork, how to invoice, how to handle variations properly, how to manage client expectations. All of these things that you don't really think of when you actually jump into here, you're going to learn often the hard way by possibly doing a lot of unpaid work, or, doing projects for a very discounted rate. And it might seem like, oh, damn, I'm working for free or whatever the case is. You're really not, because you're building invaluable skills that will be so much more important when you start working on $10, $50, $100,000 deals. Mistakes, because you're going to make a hell of a lot of mistakes in here. Every mistake that you make here repays itself 10 times in later stages when you learn and you don't make the same mistakes on project sizes and budgets that actually matter and are actually significant. The other thing you're going to do in here is build your confidence. This is the hardest phase. So I call this the inflection point because the vast majority of people never make it past this phase for a number of reasons. But as soon as you make it past here, it's honestly much easier to then go through the next stages because it's really just about refining and getting better at the processes that you learn here. So whilst a lot of people don't like this phase because you might not make too much money and there's a lot of learning that could be embarrassing, you might make a fair few mistakes. Trust me, you're in the playground here. You're dealing with small project sizes. Worst case scenario is you can't do something. It's not the end of the world on a $500 project, and I'll teach you how to word that correctly. But long story short, the most valuable skills that I learned here, and they've aided me amazingly the rest of the way through this journey. Now, if you want a video on how to set up your Upwork profile completely, I've got that in my channel. You can check that video out right here. But what I'm going to do now is talk you through the 3 things that you need to get right to succeed and get to that $1,000 mark on Upwork and beyond. Step 1, create a winning profile. This might sound like it's common sense, but believe me, 80% of the people on Upwork are not doing this as well as they could be, and it's costing them. The most important thing you can do for your profile, in my opinion, is to build a clear video. And the aim of that video is not to tell everybody about how great you are, although you might subtly put that in there somewhere. But the aim is to show how well you communicate and be able to connect with the client in the easiest way possible. You're showing how well you can communicate, and you're basically giving them confidence that they can trust you to deliver the solution to their product. This video can be around about 60 seconds long, does not need to be extensive at all. You're basically introducing yourself, then you're quickly going into what you do to help people. What kind of people do you help on Upwork? Do you help automate businesses with AI? Do you help develop nice landing pages? What do you do? If you want to quickly mention some success stories that you've had. Now, at the start, you can use your personal portfolio projects that you did in the learning phase. You don't need to have massive project knowledge. It does help, but you can very much use this at the start. And you basically want to quickly introduce yourself, what you do, who you help, and how they can get in touch with you and what the next steps are. That can all be done in 60 seconds. I'm going to take you through some example profiles, and you can visit my profile, but you can visit some of these other people's profiles as well to see exactly how to do that. But other basic things are clear profile photo, optimized title description. Try and fill that portfolio section out as much as possible. Now, if you've got any relevant work experience, throw it in there, but also personal projects can go in there as well. It really just needs to look nice. I'll be honest, most clients don't really look at most of this. They skim over it at the max most of the times. And then reviews. Now, if you're just starting out, you're not going to have any reviews. There's 2 options you can do here. You can go through the rest of this process. Having no reviews does make it a little bit more difficult to win jobs, and I'll teach you how to send proposals to get around that. But the other option you can do is you can do what's called seeding your account. Now, you have to be very careful here because it does need to look natural, or Upwork can flag the transaction. But what you can do is you can create a client account, and basically what you do is you do a test project for a certain amount of money to get a couple of seeded reviews onto your profile. Now, I know a lot of people do this. It's up to you. It's going to cost you. So Upwork take 10% as a fee. It will cost you a little bit. What I will say though, is it will add social proof to your platform, and just a couple of reviews do make your profile stronger, and they do stand out more. So if you have the budget and you want to do that, you can do that. That being said, you can still do it the proper way. It may just take you a little bit longer, but that's fine. So that's that. Next up, proposal writing. So before I jump into proposal writing, I'm going to take you through, these are actually some people from my community that I've helped, friends and people from my community that I've helped develop their Upwork profiles. And you'll see that they actually all look very, very similar. So here's mine. The video, for me, I think is the main selling point. 80% comes down to the video. It does not have to be super professional, super properly filmed. When I started out, it definitely wasn't. I had a little green screen that I bought off eBay for like $20. I threw that behind me, and I had a little video in there that I filmed off of a cheap camera that I got down at the local shop. I've since changed it, obviously, as my profile scaled, but don't overthink it, and don't let like expensive equipment or nice setups get in the way of you getting a clear video in there. The main thing is just smile, look like someone that can communicate well, look like someone that's nice and easy to talk to, and look like someone that knows what they're doing to a degree, and someone that's responsive and can help people deliver solutions. That's pretty much it. But you see here, clear meta title, clear description on exactly what you can do. Try and throw as many meta words in here as possible. And you'll see we all have a similar thing. Clear photo of the face, clear video, clear photo of the face, clear video, clear photo of the face, clear video. Similar kind of design on all of these profiles. Now, how do you actually send proposals? The interesting thing with this is that 5 years ago, pre-AI, nice detailed proposals did really well because clients were like, damn, this person has spent so long properly formatting out these proposal responses. They've put so much information. They must be really invested in the project. Fast forward to today with AI, and everybody's just AI generating proposals that are formatted amazingly, but they stink like AI and clients can smell it from a mile away. So how do you stand out? Well, on the client dashboard, this is what proposals look like. So when they post a job on Upwork, they see this. So as you can see, you've got around about 100 words to stand out. They can see some basic information about who you are and what kind of projects you've done, and your reviews are really important. They see up to 100 words, let's say, of your cover letter. And it's so like, this one's ChatGPT, so is this one because it's got emojis in it. This one, yep, probably also ChatGPT. I reckon this one may also be ChatGPT. So I think every single one of these is ChatGPT. What me and my community members and other people that I've helped out do, which works really, really well, is throw all of that out the window and instead be super direct. So what this looks like, you can do this in as few words as possible. So I think a really good intro is something like, I have done this already, all in caps. It immediately grabs attention, doesn't look ChatGPT generated. Then from there, I usually recommend using a Loom video. Now, if you're not familiar with Loom, it's just basically just a really easy way that you can record your screen and your face. But you record a Loom video, and in that Loom video, you basically introduce yourself, you stand out, and you basically say, hey, look, my name's Adam. I read through the job description, and I've actually done something similar for these clients, X, Y, and Z. You don't need to talk about it too much. If you could show a quick demo, like really quick, that's fine. But the main point of the Loom video is to say, I've done this for blah, blah, blah. I think I can get started on this ASAP, and I'm very confident I can deliver it. If you're willing to award the contract, I can get started tomorrow, whatever the case is, today even. But what you're doing there is you're using very few words, and you're actually using your face and your communication skills, because the point of this is to stand out. Now, automatically you're standing out with something like this because it grabs attention and it's not ChatGPT generated. Then you're giving them a chance to see who you are, how you can communicate, and what you're capable of straight away. They don't need to jump on a call to do that, because keep in mind, there could be 10, 20, 50 people that have applied. If they can get to know who you are without getting on a meeting with you, and they can see that you've actually read the job description and given real advice or real insights into how you could possibly solve it, I'm telling you right now, you're in the top 5 to 10% of people applying for a project. You do that 5 to 10 times a day, it's inevitable that you're going to start winning some work. So you'll see here the exact same stuff. I'm going to make this entire document free for you guys to access, but it'll have all these screenshots on it. But you can see here, same kind of approach. Now, how do you write proposals in a way that are going to get you looked at, especially when you have a less developed profile? And also, how do you write them in a way that you're protected in the case that you can't deliver something? So, first off, writing proposals, I just touched on that. I'd recommend using that exact same approach. If you're new on the project and you haven't got that much confidence yet, what you can do, and I'd recommend possibly saying this on the call rather than the proposal, but what you can do is remove the risk for the client by saying, look, I'm new on Upwork. I've been doing this for a large number of time and worked on a number of projects, but I'm new as a freelancer and I'm trying to develop my profile and go above and beyond for my first few clients so that I can start to develop some reputation on this platform. Because of that, I can do this project quick. Like you need to undercut, so lower price point. You can do it quicker. You can basically get in and get things done. But the other thing is you can say if the output is not complete or not delivered to a quality of your satisfaction, you can refund the entire. I'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. And so what you're doing there is you're basically saying, look, if I'd give this a shot for a couple of days and I can't deliver something, I'll give you a full refund. And usually, as long as you display that you're making progress and you're honest and you communicate well and you're making some progress and you're trying and you're cheap. If you're doing something for like a fixed price at the start, $100 project or $10 an hour, whatever, the client's not going to ask for the refund in most scenarios. They'll be like, okay, cool. Here's a couple extra days, see what you can get done. Because if you take money out of the equation at the start here, we're just looking to get paid some money for learning. So even if you're getting paid $50 and it takes you 50 hours, you've just learned a really valuable skill. So next time you go and do that same thing, you're going to be able to do it quicker and for a higher price. So don't get fooled here. You're getting experience and skills and a little bit of money, but it's really about experience, skills, and reviews. You got to stop thinking about earning bucket loads of money in this particular phase. Now, the next part is sales and closing. So ideally, you've got a winning profile that can attract people, but it can also win you jobs when people look at it. Then you learn how to send out proposals and how to get proposals that actually get viewed. And the third part is usually what happens here is you'll have to jump on a meeting to close the deal. How does that work? Now, the way I think about sales calls, in my opinion, is the same way that you go to the doctor and talk with the doctor. Typically what happens is that 2 minutes of small talk, intros, look like a nice person, ask some questions, smile, just bring some positive vibes, because I cannot understate how important just having like a friendly relationship and actually enjoying talking to a client should be. If it's too businessy, too serious, and it's not fun, you're going to get bad outcomes because nobody's enjoying it. Try and make it as enjoyable as possible. But what happens with the doctor usually? Go in there for 2 minutes, ask how the day's going, a little bit of small chat. And then for 15 minutes, what usually happens as the patient is you go in there and you get whatever problems you have off your chest. So that might be you've got a sore shoulder and it hurts when you do this, or you lift boxes, or you do whatever the case is. You basically tell them all about your problem. So that's 2 to 15 minutes roughly. The same thing will happen with clients that jump on a call with you. They might have a problem. Their admin staff spending 20 hours doing something. Can you use an AI automation to complete it? They're getting really frustrated, whatever the case is. That's that. From there, we then have you offering the solution. So the same way the doctor will be like, okay, let me take them through some motions, figure out where the pain is, start to diagnose the pain. That's what you're going to do from the 15 to 25 minute mark, roughly. This is all an estimation, but you're going to listen for the first 15 minutes. Then from there, you're going to be like, okay, cool. I've actually seen similar use cases of this or similar examples of this. And typically those people are suffering from blah, blah, blah. And the typical way we solve those issues is blah, blah, blah. So that's all going to happen in this 15 to 25 minute mark. And you're going to show them that you understand what pain they're experiencing in whatever case it is. And you've worked with something like this before and you know of some solutions. Now, in the early days, you might have to do a little bit of waffling here. So the key thing here is you don't have to get these solutions correct 100% of the time at the start. And if you don't know the answer to something, that is okay. Some quick ways you can get around that is 1, straight after the call, do some research and follow up with more researched solutions. B, if you don't know something on a call, it is okay to be like, hey, look, I've heard of this, this, and this that could solve that, but I'm not 100% sure. And what I'll do straight after this meeting is I'll quickly just check my notes or do some research or ask someone that I know that has done something like this, and I'll get back to you on a recommendation on how to solve that. That's fine. And then 25 to 30 minutes, this is super important. In here, we need to map out the next steps. So what we're doing here is the earlier you get financial investment from the client, the more likely you are to win the work. And that is a real tip. So ideally, if you're not signing a contract straight after that discovery call to at least get started, you're mapping out the date for a next follow-up call. But for most projects of low value, you should be able to get financial investment straight after this meeting in most scenarios. Now, I've also got a video on how I do this typically. You can watch that on YouTube. But the other thing with this is don't be afraid to make mistakes here. I definitely wasn't a sales closing pro when I started at all. There's probably a lot of sales calls that I got on that flopped. But if you can record them and at least analyze yourself after and start to reflect, the main thing is just about getting the reps in. Like for this stage here, it can take time, but that's fine because you'll learn these skills. These are super valuable no matter what you do. So don't be afraid to keep just honestly keep sticking with this. You might jump on your first few sales calls and not close the deal. That's okay. Again, it's all about reps, and I need to hone into the fact that like you need to keep pushing through. A lot of people will quit because they'll do a couple of sales calls. They'll be like, nah, this doesn't work. Maybe they said something embarrassing. Maybe the client made them feel stupid. Whatever the case is, I'm telling you, you need to push through that. And once you get through to these later stages, you'll look back on that and be like, damn, look how far I've come. And you'll be handling things like a boss because you learn all the hard lessons down here. So that is everything from 0 to 1K. I'm just going to quickly talk you through where I came from so you can see how long this took me and how long I know it's taking other people. So I came from a construction background, no technical experience at all. I'd worked 8 separate jobs before I turned 21. None of them were tech related at all. I was very busy. I was working 2 jobs, plus I was doing university, which I later dropped out of, and I was doing Upwork consulting on the side. But everything I was definitely focused on the freelancing. So I did a personal project when I discovered it in June 2021. I tried to build a personal finance app that probably went for like 2 or 3 months. It failed, but again, that was the personal project that I used as social proof for what I was doing. And it taught me a lot of the basic skills to be able to answer some basic tech questions. From there, I was doing this alongside jobs. I obviously wasn't working on it full time. It took me over a year to get to $1,000 earned on Upwork. If you break that down into days, it's $1.93 per day. But I just stuck at it over a long period of time. You can do it a hell of a lot quicker than me. I didn't have any mentors or anything like that were really showing me how to learn these skills and how to do this to a degree. So it took me a long period of time. I know some of these guys here, they're doing it in 30 to 60 days or less. And that is so doable if you know what you're doing. But I'm just trying to reiterate that like the people that are at 100K, 200K plus, typically they probably did kick the shit for a long period of time to then get the confidence, and like the amount of skills that I learned in these phases have aided me to become a lot better at scoping and a lot better at everything I do later on in this journey. So that's that. Now the next step is walking. Here is optimizing and growing value. So if you've made it to here, congratulations, you're above 80% of people that can never get past this. If you are here, honestly, it's really just about repetitions, getting better and better and better. So what do I mean by that? In here, you're now a little bit familiar with client management. You're familiar with the soft skills. You're familiar with Upwork proposals and how to work through that. You're familiar with some of the technical expertise required to deliver solutions. And this is all about basically, long story short, getting better at what you're doing. And now is when you start to grow your hourly rate and earn a little bit more money. And it's also where you start to optimize some of your processes. So maybe discovering a specific niche that might be a little bit more tailored to your skills and a bit more profitable. Maybe that's learning how to smoothen the service lifecycle. How can you smoothen the onboarding process for clients? How can you ask better questions? How can you scope things out better? How can you send invoices and build better payment models? All that kind of stuff. So what's going to happen here is you'll start to earn amounts of money that may allow you to take this more seriously, might allow you to quit your job, but it's also going to start dramatically improving your confidence, and it's going to give you a real solid base for you to start building a very successful freelancing career or an agency. Now, this typically happened to me around about, I guess it would be this phase. Things started to move it very quickly from Feb 2023. So you see from Feb 2023, this entire process is exponential. And I went from doing, $1,850, $2,000 on Upwork. In a year from there, I did 25,000. So as you can see, it took me almost 2 years to get to 1.8. From there, it took me a following year to times that by 26, I guess you can call it, or 20, whatever it is, to get to 26,000. And around about here in December 2023, I built my agency. So I was starting to earn enough money to be able to hire somebody else to help me with delivery. And how that works is my hourly rate, let's say, was $40, $50 an hour. So if I can hire someone for $20, $30 an hour, I can now start to slot in there as more of a project manager, and I can start to deliver more work and take that middle ground. Again, to be able to do that properly and to be able to manage projects, you need a really good understanding of how the actual process works. And I think any good project manager knows how to do delivery if they need to. And there was a lot of times where I was still jumping in and doing delivery and fixing things and helping out. So by no means is it completely out of the equation in this phase. But once you get there, you then move into running. So again, this is just iterating and getting better and better still. You go from that 10 to 100K phase. And basically what this is it's just doing more and more projects, getting better and better, smoothing the life cycle out more, understanding your niche even better, and essentially growing your hourly rate more and more and more through more social proof. So you can see here from Feb 2024 to Feb 2025, this is through Upwork alone. I was doing a lot more than this off of Upwork as well, but the growth can be replicated through the Upwork earnings. I then did 80K. So again, that's probably 4 times the previous year roughly. And I was able to do things like build a YouTube channel and my community. And from there, we've grown exponentially since this point as well through Upwork alone. I don't use Upwork that much anymore because I run an agency. But what I'll be talking about here is once you've got through that phase and you've got a really solid knowledge that you've developed through your freelancer career, you have 3 paths. 1, the highly profitable freelancer. You can just sit on earning, 100, 150 USD dollars an hour for the rest of your life. And that's pretty much going to enable anything that you want to do. If you want to travel, you can do that. You're flexible and you can earn a lot of money and you're in control of your own career. No one can really fire you because you can easily go and win work whenever you want. And you can manage multiple clients at one time to reduce that risk. 2 is the agency model. If you want to build an agency, you can then start using that social proof to win work. You can start hiring people and you can start to build out a agency model and then possibly explore things like running ads or building more of a process to build a larger company, which is the route that I've gone down. Or 3, you can use all of your experience to then go in and build a product like a SaaS product, possibly an education product, whatever the case is. Again, the basis for all 3 of these becomes so much stronger when you've done this hard yards here and you've learned all of the skills the hard way. Because what I'll tell you right now is there's no shortcut to learning these skills. At the end of the day, you have to learn them somewhere. And the best place to learn them is in a nice playground where the worst case scenario when you make a mistake is maybe you lose a couple of $100 or you waste 20 to 50 hours. And waste is the wrong word because you still learned something. So when you get to here, you realize that this was by no means a waste at all. And whilst you might not have earned that much money, you earned a hell of a lot of skills. So from there, you get to the 100K plus or the flying, which is building an agency, building a product, building an education platform, whatever the case is. Now, let me pitch the alternative to you. This takes a lot of time. So if you have a lot of money, but not much time, you could jump straight to building an agency with no tech experience and doing all this. But what happens if you do that is you have a lack of experience in business faculties. And that means you have a really big reliance on everyone around you. So I haven't actually seen many examples of this working well at all, to be honest. But you end up relying on tech expertise to build projects. You end up relying on HR. You end up relying on all these different people to manage a business because you've never managed a business and you don't understand how that works. And they have a complete hold over you. And also, they could be doing things really badly. But if you don't understand how those processes work, you can't tell who's good from who's bad. The other thing is you're going to have difficulty making decisions because you have no business experience really. And so you're going to be making a lot of mistakes that you would otherwise be making here on small amounts of money, but you're going to be making mistakes on big amounts of money. So mistakes that you make here could cost you $10,000, $20,000 plus. The other thing here is big overheads. So you need to hire people straight away in this approach. So you're going to be spending a lot of money before you make money. Whereas in this approach, you're not spending much money. It's pretty very, very cheap to do, but you are spending a lot of time. So yeah, that's the pros and cons, because I see a lot of people that go like, nah, this is too long, it's too slow, or whatever the case is, they want to jump straight to here. I haven't seen many people that have done this successfully that haven't got experience. If you come from a corporate C-suite background, or you've got 20 years industry experience, or you've managed business, whatever the case is, you might be able to do this. But for the average person, the vast majority of people, I think there's really no other way to getting to this point than doing the hard yards and going through here. And you can achieve this in 6 to 12 months realistically with the right guidance and a lot of hard work. Now, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. I know it was a lot of waffling. So that's pretty much the entire process in a nutshell from start to finish on how you would go from someone that's earning no money online to how you would go to making 6 figures plus online as a freelancer, and then paving the way to go ahead and make agencies, make businesses, make products. It took me 4 years to figure this out. I know a lot of people that have done it in 60 days or less. Pat actually went through, he has previous experience in sales. I mean, he knows how to do this, but he did 20K in Upwork in less than 2 months. So he is actually, he's one of the people that actually helped me start in the beginning. But he is proving that that can still be done in 2025. And so if you're interested in figuring out, if you need a little bit of extra help, you want to talk to other people that are doing the same thing, feel free to comment on this video, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch this channel that are trying to do exactly that. You're welcome to join my community where we have weekly Q&As and we talk about exactly this, AI skills and how to freelance and how to sell those solutions to businesses. And I wish you all the best, and I hope you found some value in here. The last thing as well is, if you want to view my profile, with Upwork profiles, you can view all of these publicly by going to the search bar in Upwork, searching for talent, and then typing in whoever you like. So find someone that's in your niche that you want to replicate and just copy the way their profile looks. You don't need to copy it absolutely word for word, but just rip out most of it, take a look at their video and copy it as much as possible, because obviously what they're doing is working. So I would recommend not reinventing the wheel wherever you don't have to. Good luck. All the best, and I want to hear about your Upwork success stories, and put in the work and don't give up. Those are the only two things that I can tell you, and this should work out for you.